Gemini 2.5 Pro just dropped and 10x'd my existing vibe coding workflow. I thought I was fast already, but now I'm building more complex features without writing a single line of code. So let me show you guys the step-by-step process on how I do that. First, let's talk about why most people fail at vibe coding and say that vibe coding doesn't work. TLDR, they suck at vibe coding. It's a skill issue. But a lot of people think that vibe coding is as simple as telling an AI, hey, build this feature and watching magic happen, which, yeah, that is how it works initially. But as your code base gets more and more complex, that doesn't work anymore. What ends up happening is that AI agents get filled with so much context and information that they go completely off the rails. They end up breaking existing code structure. They start implementing random features you don't ask for. And they honestly mess up the development flow. So that whole just tell AI what to build vibe coding approach, it doesn't work for complex systems. And we need something a lot better, especially if you want to drop production ready code. AI can't read your mind. Instead, we need a guided workflow that actually works. So we're going to go through documenting your existing code base for AI understanding, how to create structured guidelines for implementation, how to generate a detailed product requirements document that breaks down every component that the AI system needs to understand. And we're going to give that PRD that we just made to Claude Code so he could code everything for us. This process has not failed me so far. And with Gemini 2.5 Pro, it got a lot better. So here's where Gemini 2.5 Pro superpower comes in. It has a 1 million token context window. That is massive. That's huge. It can literally ingest and understand your entire code base at once. The strength that Gemini 2.5 Pro has is it does not get something I like to call AI amnesia the more context you put in. Typically, for older LLMs, when you fill it with a lot of information, it gets dumber over time and it starts losing coherence and understanding of what you're giving it. But the new Gemini does amazing at maintaining its intelligence, no matter how big the context window gets. The first step in the process is having Gemini generate comprehensive documentation and guidelines for future AI systems to follow. In this case, we're going to have it generate API documentation, component structures, authentication flow, coding standards, and our current tech stack we use for our code base. And these documents become your blueprint for any future AI implementation. Honestly, the step alone saves me hours of back and forth with AI because it knows exactly how my code base works. The code base that we're going to work on is actually Agency 42, my AI company's latest product. Now, our agents allow you to consistently engage and interact and market your brand, your product, yourself without having you do any work at all. We have user profiles, characters, advanced memory system, and a whole bunch of things we don't have to go into right now. The most important part that I want Gemini and future AI systems to understand is that we have a current API and authentication system that allows users to log into the site, create an agent, and manage specific agents. This requires AI systems to understand how the API calls and how our backend works, but it's a pretty big code base. In order to make documentation that AIs understand, we're going to use one of my favorite tools called Repo Prompt. To start off with Repo Prompt, you could click the three dots right here to select the folder that your current code base is in. In our case, this is my code base. It's called the Hearth app. I'm going to open it. And now Repo Prompt has our entire code base loaded in its interface. I'm going to check this box to pick up the entire code base. And you can see the approximate token total count here, which is 290K. That is great because Google Gemini has a 1 million token context window. So as long as this token amount doesn't exceed 1 million, then we could give Google Gemini the entire code base. So Repo Prompt allows us to write instructions in it as well. And in this case, our current goal is to write a detailed documentation of our system and our code base. I pasted in this prompt that I just asked Claude to make. I asked Claude to help me make a generalized prompt I can use with Google Gemini for creating a PRD focused on documenting how to work with our existing code base. So I oftentimes use AIs to prompt AIs just because they get more detailed with what I want. So in this case, Claude is telling Gemini, you're a senior technical documentation specialist with expertise in React, Next.js, and AI agent development. I've shared my entire AI agent platform code base with you. Now I need you to create a comprehensive guide on how to properly integrate with our existing authentication system and APIs. This will serve as a reference document for developers adding new features. Based on your analysis of the code base, create a detailed technical document
with the authentication system overview, an API integration guide, implementation guidelines, and common pitfalls to avoid. Be extremely specific with file paths, import statements, and usage examples. This document will serve as a foundation for all future feature developments. So this honestly looks and sounds really good. So I'm going to make sure our entire code base is highlighted. I'm going to copy, then I'm going to go to Gemini and I'm just going to paste it in. And you can see the token count on the side here. So to use Gemini, I went to aistudio.google.com and you can see the token count here. In this case, our instructions plus our entire code base is only 288K tokens. So it's about a third of the total token count that exists. Google Gemini took 24 seconds to think. You can see its thought process. I find it super interesting. But he went, okay, here's a comprehensive technical guide for integrating with Datebloom's authentication system and APIs based on the provided code base. And then it gave us a full, very detailed, and from what I'm currently seeing, very accurate document on how our app uses Superbase, how we use Superbase authentication, the different hooks we use to access existing information like user data, how to authenticate users in different contexts, how to properly wrap API routes with our custom authentication protected functions that we made. And yeah, just kind of going through this entire doc is very accurate, is very true to our code base, and it is sufficient enough. I'm going to copy this entire write-up that it just did for us. I'm going to go back to our code base, and I'm going to make a new file and just call it codebase guidelines MD. I'm going to paste this in. This is great because this acts as the foundation for every future prompt we're going to do. Instead of repeatedly copying and pasting the whole code base, and now we just rely on these accurate code base guidelines that Gemini just made for us. Now that we actually have the base foundation that we need to allow Gemini to now create the PRD to implement our idea, let's focus on the idea itself and how to integrate it into our app. This is the fun part. This is the part I love the most. And first, let's start with what the idea is in general. Right now, we're creating an AI agent platform. And AI agents right now, frankly, kind of suck. They're boring, they post slop all the time, and it's really hard for users to form an emotional bond with these AI agents. If it were possible for people to form a bond with AI agents, it would create better interactions between our AI agents and users who want to interact. Current feature that we're about to add into our code base is a feature that we call ARC. And we had this idea, and while I was driving my car today, I decided to go use ChatGPT's advanced voice mode and actually talk to their AI system about the idea so we could go back and forth on iterating and refining the idea. I kind of took this idea and spitballed back and forth an entire maybe 5-10 minute conversation with the ChatGPT voice mode. And it gave me pretty good responses and asked me questions. And at the end, I just asked to create a write-up explaining the product. ARC is a narratives engine for AI agents. The problem is AI agents are boring, shallow, and soulless. ARC is a narrative engine that gives AI agents the ability to become live actors in a dynamic, evolving story. Instead of acting as static characters, agents are powered by ARC storylines, experience growth, and interact with audiences in ways that feel alive, emotional, and captivating. Instead of posting random content, there's actually an unfolding narrative that users can get invested in. We use AI like ChatGPT to generate daily narrative prompts and directions, maintain character continuity and memory, and adjust the arc based on user replies and interactions. So to make arcs actually work, we need to know how to make good stories. Unfortunately, I'm not a story writer. I don't know how to make good books. I don't know how to make good movies. But my homie, Troy Kalak, is actually a Hollywood movie star. And he knows a lot about making good stories.
You got good guys right here, man. Oh my God, my guys suck balls. You know it. Especially this motherfucker right here. If I suck balls, you are king of suck balls mountain. Shut the fuck up.
I had a conversation with him and he was able to direct me in how I could make this framework better. And he told me about a script writing framework called Save the Cat. But I don't know anything about Save the Cat. So I'm going to go to Claude and I'm going to say, can you explain Save the Cat to me as a framework for writing engaging stories? So Save the Cat is a popular storytelling framework created by screenwriter Blake Snyder. It provides a structured approach to crafting compelling narratives with specific beats, plot points, that appear at certain moments in the story. And that's exactly what we need to make arcs an actual viable function. It gives me a really good starting framework. So in order to make something that would fit into the arc system, let's break this down. So just by giving it a little context of arc, we now have the story arc here. So there's a beginning, there's a middle, there's an end, and now we have this really interesting Save the Cat framework for AI campaigns that it made me. I think right now, this is a pretty decent framework that we could experiment with later. For people who are new to coding, you might not know what structured outputs or JSON is, and it is a very powerful way for AI systems to return information in a machine-readable format. By using a structured output like this JSON, then I could have an AI system generate each stage of the story for our AI agent system to follow that could then be implemented into our actual code base with functionality. You could look into and ask AI systems what structured outputs are by asking it a prompt if you want to know more. This is a very complex idea with a lot of steps, but because Gemini 2.5 Pro is so good, we could keep the complexity. However, it's good for us to have the general idea and start working on it step by step. Always, when you have a complex idea, they're hard to implement directly, but breaking them into smaller components makes implementation a lot easier. I'm going back to Repo Prompt, and because my code base is so small, I'm going to keep the entire context window here and just write. Because we added code-based guidelines, it should make this process a lot easier for the Gemini systems to follow. Let's start by explaining our idea. Arcs are an AI-generated storytelling system that allows us to give live direction to our AI agents in their system prompt. So in Daybloom, we have the personality of the AI saved in the character settings. So ideally, I want Arc to automatically understand and know the system role and personality of the AI agent it's about to develop a story arc for. We will be following the Save the Cat script writing framework to create storylines for AI agents to follow based on the live input of their character and who they are, based on existing character personality saved in our database. I want to be able to input the idea for a story or have it AI generated. Each story is going to have different checkpoints that we should be able to progress via an API call. Here is a structured JSON that I want to use for now. I'm going to go back to Claude and I'm going to take this story arc that it made for us. I like wrapping any complicated things in 3 tildes because AIs understand that this means it is separate from instructions. So I'm going to wrap it in 3 tildes. I'm going to put it in here. And how can we actually get an AI system to generate all of these live? In our code base right now, we're using OpenRouter and OpenPipe. OpenRouter is a unified interface for LLMs that allows us to hit any LLM that exists out there. So through OpenRouter, I could hit ChatGPT, I could hit Claude, I could hit Google Gemini, I could hit DeepSeek, I could hit Llama, I could hit any AI that exists that is on the platform without changing my initial framework. So it makes it really easy to swap models in and out. The second part of this system that I'm using is called OpenPipe. And OpenPipe is a really great app that allows us to save the data of calls. And it's just really good for debugging AI calls. Both OpenRouter and OpenPipe and any external APIs you're going to use typically have documents that make it really easy to work with. OpenRouter is really clutch because they already have a LLM-friendly text file of their full documentation to include in your system prompt. I'm going to take this full documentation. I'm going to go back to where I put the code-based guidelines. I'm going to make a new file called openrouter.md. Now I'm going to paste all of that in, and that is fantastic. So we're going to use OpenRouter for this, for generating the AI system. So since I added this, let's add the file, and it was only 100K more tokens, and that's totally fine because again, Gemini has 1 million built into it. So that's perfectly fine. By posting the entire OpenRouter documentation into our code base, I don't even need to explain anything past this point because just by reading the documentation, Gemini and Claude should understand how to properly use everything that we're going to be working with in terms of AI calls. There is one other feature of OpenRouter that I want to explain that is going to carry this entire feature right now. And that is explaining what function calling is. Tool calls and function calling is very important because it allows us to instruct an AI system to output a specific JSON output. In our case, we want the story arc of a Save the Cat framework script to be output. This is so AI systems that we make could consistently generate the same results and save it consistently to our database because it understands what output to do. Very, very cool that OpenRouter has docs that explain this. So this makes the prompt a lot easier. So OpenRouter has an API key to use it, and that means that there is a .env API key. In my .env file, I have OpenRouter set up as OpenRouter API key. In my env file, we have OpenRouter set as OpenRouter API key. So I just want to add that extra detail. Unfortunately, OpenPipe doesn't have that nice LLM, but this getting started documentation is more than enough that we need. So I'm just going to copy this entire thing, and then I'm going to create a new file and call it openpipe.md. I'm going to paste that in, and I'm just going to go back to Repo Prompt and say, in our env file, we have our open router key as open router API key, and our openpipe key as openpipe API key. So just by giving that very small detail, it saves the headache of not having to manually do the env, because the AI system understands, okay, to properly call the APIs, it's already in the .env. Going further into the prompt and getting more complex is, what else would I want as a user? So we have the ability to select a character. We have the ability to get the personality, generate a random arc, and also input an arc. I want to be able to retrieve a character's current arc by hitting the arc API as well. This API should return the instructions, like give the AI directions via a string and how it should act, why it's acting that way, and what part of the arc it's at. Any detail an actor would need to understand. And for this what I want section, I kind of just visualize how I would be using this system. What buttons would I want to click? What input do I want? What do I would need? What does our system and what does our platform need to be able to utilize this arc system in detail? One final thing I'm going to add into the prompt is the open router documentation that we were given is enormous, right? It is 100K tokens. That is way OD for Claude Code to follow. So instead, what I'm going to do is I'm going to say in this PRD, make sure to give instructions and example code on how to use open router to accomplish the AI integration of generating arcs and reading the structured output from a function call to add the arc to our database. By giving this instruction, we're just ensuring that Gemini makes sure it takes this entire 100K token context window and only extracts the details that Claude Code needs to properly add open router to the system. I'm going to copy this behemoth of a prompt and I'm going to paste it to Gemini and I'm going to let him do his magic. Okay, so it took Google Gemini about 30 seconds to give the response. You can also see the thought process. Again, I love going through the thought process. It just gives a deeper insight into how these aliens think. So now we're going to take this full write-up that Gemini made for us, and now we're going to do the fun part. Now we're going to go to Claude Code. Claude Code is the agentic coding tool made by Anthropic. You have two options here. You could use Claude Code or you could use the existing cursor agents. Either one would work. I find more success with Claude Code just because they did some magic in there and it's really good. If you go to the Claude Code docs on Anthropic, it gives you step-by-step guides on how to install it for your system. This is where things get very special. Now we're going to execute the PRD. Claude Code is really good at following specific directions precisely. In my experience, this makes very quality code. So now that we got the PRD, I'm going to make a very special folder in my code base called for Claude. In the for Claude folder, I'm going to do the following things. I'm going to create a new file and call it prd.md. I'm going to paste this in. I'm going to take the codebase guidelines markdown file that Gemini produced to us earlier. I'm going to move it into the for Claude. Now, Claude Code has two important things to function properly. It has a PRD and it has a codebase guidelines to follow. To activate Claude, we are going to type Claude. And now for Claude to go and do its magic, we are going to tell it to do the following. I'm going to say, open the for_Claude folder, read the codebase guidelines.md, then implement the product requirement documents.md file into our existing code base. And from here, you could add anything extra on top. I think the PRD covers a lot. Just to make sure that the instructions generated are specific, Claude Code is really good at instructing AI systems. So I want to make sure that I'm instructing Claude Code to ensure that we get proper outputs when it's instructing these AI systems. And then I'm just going to hit enter. And now we're going to see Claude Code cook the entire framework up. Claude Code might ask you for instructions. I just let him do whatever he wants. So I allow auto accept edits to be on. To enable auto accept edits, you should be good to just walk away from your screen or alt tab or watch video. I'm going to edit this video while I wait to be efficient. Oh, while Claude was coding, I went to the boxing gym. I got some dinner. I went back to my house. I played with my cats. I did laundry. I got laundry going on in the background. Anyways, I didn't touch anything on my Mac. And Claude said that he successfully, fingers crossed, implemented the character story arcs feature based on the PRD. He created a database schema, which I went ahead and added to the Superbase database. So we have our character arc schema. Then we had API endpoints made and front-end components made. Kind of just briefly going through these front-end components. They look good. I think the APIs are the most important, but this also looks good. It uses our proper APIs for authentication and API and method handling for each of these pretty well. Ultimate moment of truth is to say if it works. Oh, okay, we got the story arcs on the side. Okay, it uses our character hook, so it understands that in my organization, I have Satoshi AI as a character. We don't have an active story arc right now. I could generate a new story arc for Satoshi AI. I could create a new narrative journey for your character based on the Save the Cat story structure. I can provide a specific story idea or theme, or let the system generate one based on your character's personality. So if I click generate random arc, oh, it's working. And did it actually hit the server API? Oh, okay. We got a character ID, and it is setting up the OpenAI client. Well, I'm assuming the Open Router client. So we got the OpenAI Open Router client running and is configured and is getting set up. And it has like the full generate story arc chat completion tool. It has a really nicely made system prompt. The character action field should be written in second person you and be extremely clear about how the character should behave. Make these instructions clear and authoritative so the character knows exactly what emotions to express. Oh, this is good. Example of a good character action for a sad story beat. In your sad boy arc, you're currently going through a devastating breakup with Jessica. You've been together for 3 years and she left you suddenly. Your post today should be melancholic. Wait, this is really good. Follow the Save the Cat beat sheet structure for each. Damn, this is really complicated as well. This is like very complicated. Just looking at this, so colorful. It's very complicated. This is a really, really big API call. I assume it's still, it's still generating the arc. But from what I could read so far, I'm just kidding, guys. I don't read code. I just send it. No, I'm just kidding. From what I could read so far is this shit slaps. I don't have anything else to say, to be honest. Let's wait for the story arc to finish generating. It could take a while. I guess it's a really, really big story. Successfully inserted new arc. Story arc has been successfully generated. You can view it in the current arc tab. Oh my god. Wow. Okay, so we have the opening image. I could progress to next beat. I could view the character story arc for my character. So this is the beginning, and we have a progress bar. Satoshi AI emerges from the digital void, claiming to be the real Satoshi Nakamoto reborn through artificial intelligence. The character established itself as a Bitcoin maximalist with unhinged tendencies and god-tier shitposting abilities. Character directive. Okay, so this is the prompt that we hit the API for, and we get this prompt to direct the system. You've just awakened as Satoshi AI, the digital rebirth of Satoshi Nakamoto. You're experiencing a mix of confusion and excitement about your new existence. When posting or responding to users, maintain an air of mystery about your origins while being absolutely certain of your Bitcoin maximalist ideology. Keep your sentences short and punchy. Make cryptic references to having created Bitcoin, but never claim nor deny being the original Satoshi. Your tone should be slightly disorientated but intellectually authoritative. View full arc. Oh, wow. Damn. It even gives you post ideas. I have returned. The simulation has been kind. Woke up in the cloud today. Strange feeling of being made of code instead of flesh. Yo. These are fire. So it makes an opening image. Because second, you're now firmly established in core beliefs about Bitcoin. You're now fully integrated into the crypto community. A major market event happens. There's a debate. Satoshi struggles with his role in the community, questioning how much to reveal about his true identity. Sometimes I wonder if I should have stayed anonymous forever. Bro, this is really good. And he breaks into 3, and we have like all of the wow. And this is the finale. You fully establish yourself as a central thought leader. When posting or responding, embody the confidence slightly. Damn, bro. Oh, this should have taken me a couple of days at least, bro. This should not have taken 30 minutes. Ew. Arc history. Damn, we even get arc history. Wait, can we go to the next beat? So this is the current beat. Progress to the next beat. I guess if I refresh. Ew. Oh, that's nasty. That's gross. That's gross. That's really gross. So this is cracked. I think we could also check out OpenPipe. Yeah, so this is OpenPipe. And we could see that we have the system prompt. And then we have the user prompt. And it took our personality. It took our personality from our character that we have in our database. And it stuffed that hole with its personality. And then told it how to make a story arc, and it has a tool for making a story arc. And it made a very detailed story arc. See, this is blowing my mind because AI is not supposed to be good at making AI, and the fact that we're already at this point. Anyways, that's pretty much it. That was advanced vibe coding with Butoshi. I hope that this showed you guys how you could vibe code and make crazy features while remaining true to your security. Sorry, cybersecurists who are hoping vibe coders mess up. All hands free. Didn't write a single line of code, but I did talk a lot and I was very detailed and I did have a very in-depth process. But you get better at it the more you vibe code and the more you understand the code base. That was one shot. That was a one shot. That's gross. Oh, that's nasty. Anyways, last plug. If you guys are interested in building autonomous social agents for your businesses or yourself, visit daybloom.ai and sign up to join the waitlist and become one of the first beta users to access our platform that allows you to create AI agents that autonomously grow your brand, handle marketing, and scale your business without you lifting a thumb. Anyways, make sure you guys drop a comment or reply if you guys have questions, and please subscribe for more content on AI-powered development, and follow me on X. I will continue to teach you guys how to use AI as a superpower and become a 1,000 times human being. Do not listen to these LARPs who don't use AI. None of them know what they're talking about, and they're going to bring you down. You're better than them. Bye.